Hey,
Hey,
how y'all doing?
We're doing okay. Crazy times.
I know. Man, you guys couldn't have dropped this at a better time. But
I hope that's what people think. It feels a little. It's just such a crazy moment, and we knew it was gonna be. It was a conscious. We didn't forget.
yeah,
But it's just so intense, like really intense. Yeah.
I, I just had the television on. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. All day long, CNN.
I know.
I can't look away.
Yeah.
I can't look away. So I am going to um set up the live. Give me 1 second.
And you can hear us and see us, okay?
Johnny, you have your lighting on point.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I have a ring light.
Ah,
A
nice.
ring. See, that's the thing.
We need
It's
that.
about time we got ourselves a freaking ring
I
light.
think we need.
Yeah, man, you just kind of gotta do what you gotta do. We're gonna be doing this a while, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazon, though. Amazon has
I got the ring light.
I bet they do.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Rahway, New Jersey. It's about 20 minutes outside of Newark.
Cool.
Yeah. You guys are in Brooklyn, right?
We are. We are. We're in Brooklyn.
Cool. All right, let's see here. Did you guys catch the song today?
You know what? We have this event, this lockdown session with the Jazz Gallery, and we were in
Oh,
the middle of like a 40-minute improvised set,
okay. Mm-hmm.
and we missed it because
Oh,
we
it's
were like
okay.
so deep in it. So I'm bummed that we missed it, but I'm hoping that other people caught it. Um,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like I looked up and turned on my phone, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's 7 o'clock. Like we just
We
Yeah.
need a radio
we
debut.
just blacked out. But I think it's what we needed because it feels so good just to like make music in a way that feels like organic right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Sorry that we missed it.
That's okay. I made sure that I posted as it was happening on Instagram.
Yeah. And I posted like right before, and then we sat down and did a thing that we thought was going to be short, but it was not short.
Yeah. So I am just setting up the title for the Facebook.
Do we have to adjust our lights at all? What do you think?
We could try.
Try moving around.
What kind of lights do you have around? I mean, you guys look fine to me.
Overhead LED lights. Yeah, it's basically dimmer or the same.
Mhm.
The clarity. I don't know.
Oh, you have the overhead lights.
Overhead. Yeah. You could try the light you brought in the other room.
Yeah.
It might be weird, but we got 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Make ourselves, look good. Mm-hmm. My tea is hot, fogging up my glasses. Oh, I think it has to go over there. Maybe plug it into the island outlet. All right.
Love the album, by the way. And whoever I play it for, they're like, oh, wow, who's this?
Oh, that's sweet to hear.
Is that better?
I think that is a little better. No, you can leave those on, I think.
What about this one?
Come sit, take a look.
Oh yeah, that's much better. Oh yeah, that's better, right?
We're still
Yeah.
not on the Kiana level, but we're better.
Aspirational.
Yeah.
No, you guys look good.
How long do we have, Kiana? Is there a length you usually go for these, or?
Usually I do like about a half hour.
Okay.
And then we'll see if there are any questions in the comments. from folks.
Oh yeah, I was gonna check out.
Oh, and do you usually do a follow-up piece after?
Yes.
Cool.
So that'll probably go up Monday.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really sweet. Thank
It's
you.
nice to meet you too, finally.
It's nice to meet you guys too. I'm big fans. I mean, I love this album. I really.
So
Oh, right
glad.
on. That's great to hear.
Oh, yes.
You
Yes.
see, I have it product placement. Can you see?
Yes. Oh, we should have. Hold on.
we need some merch. Right. We got a
That's
couple.
why I
We
think
still have a few around here, so
We sold out of most of them, but.
Oh, good.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh. Well, speak it into existence.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Jarrett's been going to the post office all week because people have been really pre-ordering, which is great.
Oh, good. Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna press start.
see if Raj makes an appearance.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and we're live. Good evening, everyone. You're tuned in to another virtual edition of The Pulse. I'm Kiana Faircloth, host of Afternoon Jazz, and I'm super excited because Sarah Elizabeth Charles is here, and Jarrett Cherner. They have a brand new duo album, their very first duo album, their debut as an official duo, which drops tomorrow, Friday, November 6th. It's called Tone, and really, the timing of this album couldn't be more in sync with what our spirits need right now in such a tense atmosphere in America. And they're here to talk all about it. Welcome, Sarah and Jarrett.
Hey, Kiana.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Man, when I put this album on, as you can see, I have it right here. When I put it on, immediately, the first track, Conscious Mind, I'm like, it immediately sent me to a place of peace. And I was sort of, in a way, entranced. I was put into this Zen sort of mood. And it's kind of like a chant a little bit, Sarah. Was that intentional, the tone of the first track of the album?
You know, it's funny because that song took on a completely different form about 6 months prior to recording the album, maybe even less than that. We had written something with a lot of the same harmonic content, and neither of us were really feeling it. It wasn't quite right or settling. And so one day we decided to really like tear it apart. And that the name of the song was not Conscious Mind at that point. It was something else. I can't even remember what it was. But we really decided to like sit with it and let it be and like kind of allow it. I say tear it apart, but just allow it to kind of like organically fall apart and see where it's settled. Our cat is going to make an appearance.
Oh, hi. What's your cat's name?
His name is Raj.
See you on the show in the first few minutes.
Always.
Come on,
always.
Raj.
He loves pets.
That's an animal, so he's welcome. We'll interview Raj too.
Raj is a lover.
But Jarrett started to play that vamp figure, like that pattern, that rhythmic pattern, and I just kind of started to chant this melody. The conscious mind takes flight, conscious mind takes flight, conscious mind, and it came after, from what I remember, after a conversation that we had about what we wanted the song to speak to, which was sort of like the really delicate, beautiful nature of all life, and like that moment when life sparks. Whether it be like the seed that's planted in the ground, quite literally, that's one of the lyrics in the song, and that like that grows up, or you know, the human being that like grows inside of a woman's body, or you know, all of these ways that life manifests are so beautiful and delicate, and we really wanted to have a song that paid tribute to life in that way. And that message and that chant just kind of like came out of us deciding that what we had was not adequately representing that message, and it came out of a very organic space.
Yeah. This entire album, it feels very organic and sort of exudes a lot of different things. Love, overall, love. I'm feeling so much love and harmony and togetherness and just peace and reflection and all of that. You guys started, from what I understand, you started producing this album maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So where were you then? Because you couldn't have predicted that we would be here where we are right now, in this country. So where was your mind then, and how did it shift in the process of producing this album from 4 years ago until now?
I'll start with that one. I think this project started just as a space for us to collaborate. We will both have our own projects, and that's when we met. That was kind of what we were involved in, and we wanted a place that wasn't necessarily bringing, like me playing in Sarah's band or something like that, which we did a little bit, but subbing for her regular pianist, but a place where we could just create together. And so there wasn't really agenda other than just to try making music together and see what came out. And a lot of that started with playing standard jazz standards, because that's we both have a background doing that. But slowly we started writing songs, and those are basically what you hear on the album, and they came slow.
I love it. Hi, Raj.
He's part of the
Raj.
band. He's a member.
He is.
He's our quarantine guru. He's total champ. The pieces came to, man, I can't even concentrate. I just have Raj here. Just say I was going to take care of the pets for the moment.
I will. Go ahead, babe.
No, but you guys, okay, so 4 years ago you started, but tell me where you ended up as far as, what you had in mind 4 years ago. Did it end up being what you originally thought this thing would be?
Personally, I don't think we had a conception to start. It just sort of went song by song. Yeah. Each one has its own little life. That One Conscious Mind started as a different song, and probably more than any other song on the album changed form and became much simpler, much less jazzy in a way. Although it originally had sort of an ostinato that is somewhat reflective in the piece, but just pared down a lot simpler. And some of the songs, they're based on poems, so that was kind of an anchor. We sort of experimented with improvising to singing with poetry as lyrics that we liked. And we have another piece on the album, Gloria, which we sort of wrote kind of with the idea of feminine energy and celebrating the, how do we call it? Just sort of like
that energy in all of us, because that's what we all come.
Yeah,
that's what
sort
I
of like
usually
the divine
say.
feminine energy.
Yeah.
And so some of them, and then a bit kind of sculpting with conscious mind, sort of there was a discussion about what we want the song to be and how lyrically and musically we'll represent that. But the album as a whole kind of came together naturally, just the sounds we gravitated towards and came up with together over the last bunch of years. And it's not like we worked on it consistently for 4 years. It was sort of piecemeal, one song at a time.
Right.
Concerts or gigs would come up, and we'd get stuff ready for that or premiere a new song. And this is the first batch. This is the round.
Yeah, and I think too, like, well, when you're working with your partner, you kind of are like Jarrett said, we weren't working 24/7. It wasn't as if like, okay, we had these like this time period where we were wanting to write X number of songs for an album. Like, we really let the songwriting process, I think, for this record just unfold very naturally, and in a way that like felt good to both of us, because that process was the process via which we found our creative space, like that comfort in our creative space together. So that was something that, like, it can be hard, working with your life partner, in a professional capacity or a creative capacity. So we wanted to leave enough space for that. And I think perhaps that's why when, it really makes me feel warm when you say that you feel love when you listen to it, because it's like, oh, well, I hope so, because it's coming from like a real place of like, of love and an investment of love. Like, that's where it's stemming from. And I think that love takes, the best kind of love, I think, takes time. Really like develop. And the love that we have for this project is no different, in that way.
Yeah. Jarrett, you touched on sort of paring things down a little bit. Of course, with us all being sort of thrust into quarantine this year, we've all kind of had to get back to the basics, you know? So, talk to me a little bit about how you guys started to really culminate this album in quarantine. You put the finishing touches on it while you guys were in lockdown, you might as well say.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So in the summer, a year ago in the summer, in 2019, we did a session here in Brooklyn at Big Orange Sheep. The first session on the brand new Fazioli, which is a very nice piano. And we recorded all the tracks then, and then sort of didn't do much with it for 4 or 5 months. And as when the quarantine hit, we sort of like, oh yeah, hey, let's finish this album. And we had takes of everything. It was just a matter of going through, choosing takes, and then Sarah procured a great vocal mic, and we did a lot of vocal like overdubs and retracking here at home. And we have a piano. I have my piano here too, although the quality isn't quite up to par with the Fazioli, so we didn't do any overdub with the piano, but we were really able to sculpt a lot of the vocal sounds, the layering, and all that sort of production here.
When all of that was done, was it mixed there as well?
No, so that our creative relationship kind of like deepened even more in that moment because Jarrett became like my engineer and my producer.
Wow.
So that was really, I think, he did a huge deep dive technologically to like learn how to do all of that. I mean, and you learn new things.
I'll be modest about that, just a little bit.
Right. He's not like gonna, he's not going pro anytime soon in that regard, but maybe one day. But then after we tracked all of the vocals, we went to one of our heroes and someone we really love working with, Dave Darlington, to mix. And he had, just by chance, I remember him telling me about it, like about 3 years ago, he replicated his studio that's in New York in his home in New Jersey. So he started to like gather all the same equipment that he had in the city at home, just so that he could work both places for like practical, matters. And then, COVID hits and he has to be at home working. And he basically had everything that he needed. I think he went to his studio, got a couple things and went home and just worked from home. And so we mixed with him over Zoom. And he would send us a streaming link so that we could hear exactly or close to exactly what he was hearing while he was mixing. And, I'd be in one room, Jarrett would be in the other. And we spent, hours with him on Zoom, both here. And then we went out to California for a little while this summer and did it out there and then came back and finished. Then actually we finished it up out there mostly. But yeah, he mixed and mastered the record. And Dave Darlington is just great. He's the best, one of the best for sure.
That's incredible. It's so funny how, these current times have really forced us to, develop skills that we otherwise wouldn't have, really had an interest in developing. So it's amazing that you kind of had to get in there and learn how to do all the production stuff that has to do with recording. Jerry, you go. That's amazing.
Get into it
well,
just
and
a
also
little bit.
Like dealing with tracking my vocals and me being, there were days with some of the beauty of it actually, like there were some days where we were tracking songs that were like maybe very emotional for me, or maybe it was just like a very raw day for whatever reason, because we've all had raw days like that during this time. And there was one day where we were tracking the last song on the album Out Loud, and I just lost it. I just broke down and I fell apart, and we were kind of like, okay, maybe I think we got the verses on that day, and then I lost it. And then we decided like, nope, today's not the day for the rest of this song. And one of the beauties of recording at home, I'm in my bathrobe, like Jarrett's in his sweatpants. And it's like, okay, cool. We're going to like go do something else for a little while. And
let's go to the other room.
Let's go.
Right.
Vary it up.
Go to club living room.
Yeah.
But we really had time to like, at least vocally, I felt really grateful to have that like time in a safe space.
Yeah.
To have that time in a safe space to be able to really emotionally like deliver the message of this music in a way that felt like really genuine.
And it really feels very intimate. Like we're right there with you as you're singing into the microphone. Your voice is so pure, so crystal clear, that it really, the whole album is just a love fest to me. It's based on, you got a couple songs, most of them are originals, but a couple of them are based on poetry. Robert Frost.
One of them, yeah, Hanging On to Time, I think it's the second track on the
Oh,
record.
just one.
Yeah, is based on a poem by Robert Frost, and then Speak is inspired by a poem by Mary Oliver, although it's mostly wordless except for that one lyric, Speak, that comes out about three quarters of the way through the track. Yeah.
And you guys put the album out, it's on your own record label, right?
Yeah.
How does that, how has your music, you feel, changed in any way, because it is being put out by you specifically? This is a personal thing now.
Well, actually, so the other albums that I've released in the past, like with my own trio, I've also released on my own label just for simplicity's sake, and I like being able to handle, you know, all the business stuff side of it myself. And so it feels pretty natural. It feels simple. I don't know, is there another feeling about that?
Will you just the part of the question that you asked about, like, how has it changed, you know, what you do? I think that this record, because it's so much both of us, it's like not, you know, anything that I've ever put out by myself or with other bands, and anything that Jarrett's ever put out by himself and with other bands, really is just nothing like what this is. Because it really is like a true merging of both of our worlds. And what we didn't really know, because it was such a slow journey, as we said before, it took 4 years. We really took our time and let things marinate, and then, you know, reworked things that we had created before. And I think it really just has allowed us to settle into this completely new space that like only exists, well, I don't know if it only exists for us together. Like, I think it will really seep into our other creative spaces as well, but it's something special that we've been able to create together that kind of exists in this like jazz, like folk singer-songwriter space that neither of us had really played in before. And I think we were only able to find that because of working together.
So how did you come up with the title of the album, Tone? How'd you settle on that?
It's a good question.
Secret recipe, secret process. We can't talk about that.
Talk about it. Well, we actually played with a band name for a while. I thought like, oh, well, maybe because my name is so long, Sarah Elizabeth Charles, you know, I'm like, oh, maybe we can come up with like a band name that is just one word or very simple instead of using both of our names. And so for a while we were actually referring to, this was years ago, so you're getting like the insider scoop, we don't do this anymore.
Hey.
Our band name
here first. Did you guys catch that?
But it was called Tone. We were calling it Tone for a while. Like the project was called Tone. And then we thought about it, and it was a little confusing because, you know, we've done so much separately as individuals. So just in terms of like practicality and publicity and people understanding like what this actually is, we didn't want to have confusion. And we also didn't love, he never loved, I really liked Tone. He never loved it as a band name. But then we decided, like, actually Lydia Liebman actually helped us to come to this decision. She was like,
shout out to Lydia.
Shout out to Lydia. She said, well, maybe it's maybe it could be an album name. And so we decided that made a lot of sense. And it does make sense, and it's hard to describe why. I mean, the tone of like being able to create together, or the tone in that, like makes all of the difference. So something that we have like a mantra that we'll say sometimes before we play together that helps us like really focus and be present when we're creating, whether it's like in rehearsal or before a show or before writing. And it really can, if the tone is like ever so slightly like one way or the other, or, you know, this happened just a moment ago when we were improvising, like, you know, when you're improvising, you're supposed to say like, yes, and, yes, and, yes, and. And I, in a moment, was like, no. And it totally killed the vibe. It like totally killed the vibe. So it's interesting. And just the same, something really beautiful, you know, that one of us can do or say or offer can bring us to a really amazing space that we wouldn't have gone to before. So like the tone matters here, especially with the two of us working together. Like it can make all the difference in relationship to where we end up going. And in the same token, therefore, like presence of mind like is so important, and be here in our own bodies and spirits while we're making sounds.
And on that note, I'd just like to say that I feel the title of it is super timely, especially, of course, given the atmosphere that we're in right now. It sort of is a resetting of an internal tone. As I mentioned before, when you listen to this, you're forced to kind of go within and get into this sort of meditative state. At least for me, that's what I was able to do. So I found that it sort of, for me, is resetting. It's a resetting that's happening there. I don't know if that was conscious for you guys or not.
Well, that's nice to hear. I think what Sarah and what you're both speaking to is just the tone in the sense of sort of vibe and sort of subtlety with vibe. And I think that I like that meaning, and then also just the literal meaning musically with tone, and Sarah's voice often, the pure clear tone, how people often describe it, and pianists don't have the same kind of vocal timbre, but through touch have their we all have our own tone. So there's kind of the musical literal meaning, and then the more subtle general tone of the conversation, tone of the atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, I love what you're saying though about the tone within, because Jarrett and I, and both in our own ways, have also done a lot of like internal work. We were speaking to a journalist a little while back, and Jarrett was talking about the importance of like self-love in order to love anything else in the universe, like sort of the Buddhist principle that in order to love anything or anyone else in the universe, you first have to like love yourself and start here. And he and I have both in our own ways done a lot of like personal spiritual work, and I think that's really it's manifesting in this album because it's been happening while this album has been created. It's not an accident, that this music is, and the meaning behind this music is what it is. We've both been on our own individual journeys, and then that sort of converged as this work, or in this work.
I'm just curious, by the way, the album artwork is gorgeous. Who did this?
Yes, I love that we get to talk about her.
Yeah.
So one of our dearest friends, and a brilliant artist, Daphne Mia Essiet. I'll say it again, Daphne Mia Essiet. She is a beautiful musician herself, and she also is a really brilliant artist. She had a piece that she had done, and she had shared it. I can't remember if we first saw it in person. No, not in person. We saw it online. But anyway, it was a piece, and the piece was this piece, but it was gold. It was all gold on a black background. And Jarrett saw it, and it really resonated with him. And this image, actually, I'm going to quiz you, Kiana. Do you know what this is, or do you see anything in particular?
It's not a quiz.
Well, it looks like it could be either a tree stump or a fingerprint.
I love it. Well, it's kind of both, but it's a tree stump. It's meant to be a tree stump.
Okay.
And when Jarrett saw it, it really resonated with him. And I saw it, and I loved it as well. And we thought like maybe we could work this in relationship to an album cover, but we really wanted to play with the colors of it. So we sat with Daphne. Jarrett spent many hours with Daphne while she was like literally editing in Photoshop in real time and getting like really the colors. We went from like rainbow colors to through all sorts of drafts, and settled on like this like blue and orange, red, purple, like.
Well, we kind of went with the colors for our photo on the back.
That's kind
of blended those together, and Daphne created a very cool blend of those as a sort of a background to the line drawing that she had done.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. So you guys have dedicated this album to Polly Cherner. Talk to me about why.
Yeah, Polly Cherner was my mom, and she was a super fan. She loved our music. And she passed away earlier this year, just before COVID, not COVID related, just sort of wasn't even particularly old, just got a kind of a little mystery thing, and it took her out. And so just a way of honoring her and celebrating her life.
Wow, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So if you're just tuning in, I'm chatting with Sarah Elizabeth Charles and Jarrett Cherner. They have a brand new debut duo album, Tone, which comes out tomorrow, Friday, November 6th.
Yeah.
And I feel like the world has been waiting for this. You guys are two amazing talents on your own. And really, them coming together is just a match made in heaven, like you guys are.
Uh, thanks.
I know I'm cheesy. So let's look and see if we have.
We need the cheese right now.
Yeah.
Let's see if we have any questions. I think we do have a couple questions here from the audience. Here's one. You, Roy Lindsay, what advice would you give to couples that create together, peaks and pitfalls?
I love this question. Do you want to go first or should
I? Well, I can say two things that have been super helpful for us. Mm-hmm. One, Sarah mentioned earlier, is before we enter a creative space, we created like a list of reminders, basically, that we read to each other, and we'll sort of like alternate reading through the list just to set the tone, if you will, or the intention for entering into, a space where we're, going to be creative and be vulnerable and have fun and celebrate, just be very clear about setting the intention. And kind of in line with that, we got some advice from my uncle, who also works with his partner a lot, and they make movies and all sorts of stuff together. And his advice was that never put the work ahead of the relationship. Like if the relationship's suffering, then give the work a pause and then come back to it, and make sure that you don't, that you're both that nobody leaves sort of unhappy with the result. You both have to feel good about, like, commit to being, okay, no matter what, we're both going to feel good about the end result. So if we both don't feel good, then we're not there yet. Yeah. And both of those two things have been super helpful for us. And maybe I'll say one more thing, which is that it's still not easy.
No,
I'm sure.
It's hard.
As we said, just 20 minutes ago, we were in it. Yeah, but I don't have anything to add. I think it's helpful actually for me to hear again the part about us both needing to be completely happy with whatever it is, because we can both have ideas about what things should be, but there's no band leader here. We're both in this. So we have to be happy with it. And I think that sort of motivation like creates the space for the best possible result, whatever that means. I mean, that's a value judgment, but the best possible result for whatever it is that we're creating.
Well, I mean, hey, and if anybody listening has some advice, we'll take, any comments, best practices. 4 years is it's not the most productive, we're not like pumping out these albums. So we're kind of taking it slowly, and when things aren't feeling right, we're giving it space. But I'm sure, some other couples that work together have a great.
I think your uncle though gave you the most sound piece of advice, and that, like you said, is putting each other first. That's first before anything. Because if the core, if that unit isn't happy, then the end result isn't gonna.
Totally, it's not worth it.
Absolutely. Let's see if we have any more questions here. I don't think at the moment, but again, the album is going to drop tomorrow, and I think really what's happening here. You talked about setting intentions and all of that, and I think again the timing of this album just couldn't be more perfect. I think everything has aligned here for you guys. The world needs this right now. Everything that this album is really reverberating is nothing but kindness, love, peace, internal joy, all of that. So thank you guys so much for what you've done here.
Yeah, that means the world, really. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I'm glad it's resonating.
Yeah. Tell folks how they can get it, how they can get the album and keep up with you guys.
Yeah. Sure. Well, it's already available for pre-order, and on our Bandcamp, through iTunes, Amazon, and then
matter of hours.
Yeah, that'll release for download in a few hours. It'll be on all the streaming platforms. Our favorite spot is Bandcamp, and through either of our websites, which are just our name, jarrettcherner.com, and SarahElizabethCharles.com. We have links there. And Bandcamp, I believe tomorrow is waiving their fee. So
Shout out to Bandcamp.
shout out to Bandcamp. They've been doing that through the quarantine. At least I think it's mostly like the first Friday of each month.
Yeah.
And I think they see a nice spike in sales, and that really helps out artists who are having a tough go of it.
Yeah. And what do you guys have coming up next? Because, you know, everybody's doing the virtual thing. You can't really tour and perform an album, you know, these days. So
yeah, this is a great touring unit, you know, it'd be perfect for touring.
Low budget touring.
Low budget touring.
Yeah, no, I think that we are going to do another streaming show. We've done a couple recently, so we're going to give it a little bit. And I think we're going to do a release show at the beginning of December. December 6th is the date that we're looking at, but stay tuned. We'll announce that as soon as we have that date at the Soapbox Gallery in Brooklyn. It's a really great space there, and we played there a few times. So we're going to return there. And then this coming Saturday, 2 days from now, we're going to be joining the Jazz Gallery's lockdown session. So we're going to be one of the featured artists and sharing perhaps some of the things that we improvised in the other room just prior to this beautiful interview, this wonderful interview, and also potentially debuting like a portion or a draft of a music video for Conscious Mind that is in the works. So tune in on Saturday, you'll see what's up. And just reach out to us. We want to hear from people. It's such a strange time to be releasing a record, like not being able to tour, do a release show for like humans in person. And yeah, we just want to hear from people, also just to talk about like positive things right now and really focus our energy there. So anybody's welcome to reach out. Yeah. Let us know how it resonates with you.
That's so important. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Kiana.
Thank you, Kiana.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on The Pulse. Sarah Elizabeth Charles, Jarrett Cherner. Keep making beautiful music. I hope we get more and more albums for years to come.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking forward.
We'll do our best.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. And good night, Raj.
Good night, Raj. Kiana.
Nice.
And then he runs off before. Good night, y'all.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.